All right, welcome H Radio 223 part-timers to your last lesson for week one, which is lesson 47. We're going to chat uh, we'll chat about, should I say, citizen journalism. And I'm going to show you again another two videos that are cool and very interesting. Then these ones are not too long, so already you don't need to start rolling your eyes and saying, "Oop, here we going for like an Avengers movie." All right, as you can hear once again, like sinuses just not working for me. All right, so just apologies if you do hear me like snuffle and I don't think I'll cough. I don't think I'll cough. Right, I'll be fine. It's just below. What is it? Blocked everywhere now. Anyway, all right. Okay. So let us quickly begin. As you can see, I've just been looking through the lesson just before starting. All right. So compiling news, traffic, sport, weather, part two of 12 from Valerie Geller's book, Beyond Powerful Radio. And that is in chapter 20. In case of an emergency, page 237 to 255, page 253 and 258 for chapter 21, as well as in your new textbook for newer than Beyond Powerful Radio, Next Level Radio, chapter 5, 538, Citizen Journalism, page 208 to 220 is where we get the theoretics from. I don't want to just because I mean intentionally I'm going to have this as quite a or a considerably shorter lesson than the other two. Um, or the last one specifically was basically 2 hours. So I'm just going to kind of keep this one short because the this one's quite straightforward then as well. Okay, so you might know that when you hear the word state of emergency, let's say from our lives, we know that we've had a number that we can possibly choose from. I think the most, well, I suppose just the most popular one or infamous one, should I say, is a better word, is obviously the outbreak of the COVID pandemic, right? Where we actually saw on TV where the state of emergency was declared. Obviously, the that lady, I can't even remember her name. It was that really old lady that everyone did not like, took over because that's her role. She takes over as quote unquote president in states of emergency, and she was controlling our lives like left, front, center, backwards, upwards, like Bulamakisi, all around, man. And it was a real state, obviously, of emergency around the world. A lot of protocols were implemented and then had to be followed. Um, if you can obviously just think about how much access you had to media around the world, so that we could get information around what was happening, different countries, and what was happening with the progress or the process, or obviously the really bad, obviously the really bad variants that were coming out, and the release of the what is it, man, the vaccine and all that stuff. It was a long running story that probably dominated for just over about a year and a half, and then started dying down. I think after kind of that mention and introduction of the obviously the vaccine to all of us. And yeah, what can we say? We thank God, like got through it, and we're sitting here right now. But that was probably the most, I say, the most prominent state of emergency that we've current or recently experienced. And you can only imagine, like, also with that and its obstacles, that it offered so many things that would be able to stop or obviously definitely hinder the progress or the process of media coverage because of obviously again masks and what is it, distance and all this stuff and things being closed and people not being accessed, people being sick, and all this type of stuff, right? We still had media, and we actually had a lot of media that was our way of connecting with what was happening on the outside world because we were quote unquote locked up, basically, either literally or metaphorically as well. So, okay, I'm going to use that. I'm going to start with that one. And I want you to try and think now as we kind of segue over into the professionals here, us, the media practitioners, and what we had to do, what we have to do when there is a state of emergency that is being called. It could be a countrywide, disaster of fires, like a breakout of fires everywhere. That's a state of emergency. It could be obviously another like a natural disaster. So a tornado, like a hurricane, a tsunami, whatever it may be. There could be excessive flooding. There's a lot to actually get, I'm saying, from nature's point of view. That does affect, obviously, a state of emergency. Other ones would be perhaps toxins that have been released in the water, which is a definite state of emergency. If we know that toxins are released in water, but we're talking like stuff that could kill you, definitely make you super ill, could cause major diseases, major medical health damage, should I say? Yeah, so and the list can go on if we just sit down and we say, okay, well, just off the top of our heads, without doing any research, what could possibly classify as a case of emergency? Okay, so first of all, here is Geller's Media International's emergency preparedness points. Does your staff know? So how to maintain credibility in order to collect, gather, and verify that information is correct before it goes to air. It is super important to keep the integrity of your station. We just talk about radio stations here in particular at the moment in our context, very important. So if you go out and you say something incorrect about where a fire is, what the disease can do, or again, like how many people died, and you make like a really, really like fudge up of it because you're saying that 2 million people died when you should have said 200,000, for example. It's credibility, and it's going to absolutely shatter your reputation and your brand, right? So really important, especially in that emergency state, right? That you are in, as well as as moving parts within the company itself. Definite clear communication and clear, validated, justified, and obviously real facts need to be what you work on, right? Verifiable, should I say. How to get in touch with local authorities on the scene who can give you some credible information. So again, that database that I spoke about for you as a newsreader, very important. What is the right time and place for listeners to call and be able to offer their, experiences like I'm here, my house is gone, like I can't find my brother or sister, my family is still searching, or listeners are saying, listen, like we started like a bit of a fundraiser, and we're raising funds to be able to just help this particular community that's lost their homes or whatever it may be, right? So what role should X, for example, and other social media play in disaster or major event coverage? I think that one's quite easy. It's just to, like, for example, that Twitter, which is so incredibly fast, it's accelerated information that's being provided, right, in little tiny size bits. X is the best, probably the best one to keep your followers updated on something that is long running, that is carrying on, that is more information, as opposed to something like Facebook, I suppose. And Instagram is genuinely not that. Uh, besides let's say shorter reels or reels that you could rather post on YouTube. If you are obviously like a news department, it makes better sense to paste it on YouTube or upload it there. TikTok, not necessarily. probably a good idea to put this there. Okay, anyway, managers should be clear about what they can and cannot ask of non-broadcasting staff, right? So someone needs to be the one who will make decisions about whether that wall-to-wall coverage is needed, or otherwise the periodic updates make more sense. And that one, the second option, the latter of the two, is normally where people like the news editor or whatever it is, whoever is running this particular story or these stories or this sect of the storyline that the news is producing and presenting at any one point. There has to be a chain of command, so obviously a sub editor, a news editor, like there's got to be a set amount of people that are only dedicated to the state of emergency, whether it be digital field reporters or anchors or whatever it may be, right? So assemble a book of contacts and email addresses, including the following: emergency number operations centers, the police are obviously important there, fire and rescue, media relations, the home or cell numbers of public information officers that you can call after hours, the staff checklist that you do have, local hospital and emergency rooms where people might land up or have information on. Where our own, like I say, men and women on the street are being affected and taken to. Local weather service numbers are important, and we see exactly why. All right. So, in case of an emergency, Jerry Bell's emergency red binder says the following, gives you 7 tips here. Yeah, emergency numbers and contacts in a place where everyone can find it, but not necessary, which is normally in the state or in the form of a database. It's electronical, a map of or maps of where staffers live and numbers that they can be reached 24/7. Guidelines for crisis coverage interviews, please, because again, it's not that the journalists don't know; it's also the broadcasters that need to be informed, and pretty much everyone else that is affected or expected, within the radio station itself to do their part, right? So, basic information about what to do for earthquakes, tornadoes, terrorist events, instructions about when to dump commercials. Yeah, which is obviously a conversation on its own. And you need street maps of your area. Invest in a good quality street map. Create a mission statement for that particular situation, for what it is that you want your station to do, and the people, obviously, for the people. I'm saying and the people in your station for the people that listen to your station during a disaster. Okay, before we go to a bit of a case study, and we'll just watch that in just a moment, right? Let's have a look at during the crisis, get a press pass now, right? Immediately. So you will phone all those particular corporations, whatever it is, and or make sure that you have a validated well, I mean, you come from news department from a credible news company, a media company, whatever it is. You got your own press pass, ideally. And then you have to get your own press passes. Depends on where it is that you are heading off to, right? So you might get a press pass from the SAPS, or you might get a press pass for certain companies or certain places or whatever it may be that you are allowed to be accepted, entered into, right? Develop a clock, please, obviously, and prepare a script, just like we all do on radio. Okay, any non-professional broadcasters who may be pressed into duty do the following. They identify the name and title of that person, either calling in or who is being called. Where are they located? What is the situation that they want to report on? So we're getting to citizen journalism here. You can obviously see, right? We want to find out, right, off air, the name and the contact number of the person who is coming on duty next, who can continue providing information for us at the station, right? And when we also want to know when we might update or when might an update, should I say, on the situation become available? Now, citizen journalism is one thing, obviously, so we're getting citizens that are reporting for us, but they could also be reporting independently, probably are, and that's obviously with the use of their own cell phones. Like they're there in the moment. They take that coverage of, for example, like I say, like a car crash or someone being, I don't know, physically abused or whatever it may be. There's so many things that we switch our cameras on, our phones on, and press the record button, right? With no plan actually to go and submit it to any kind of, like I say, any kind of news company or corporate, right? The whole other thing is that sometimes the citizen journalists are actually quote unquote hired by the station itself, and they have a long list of people that are sitting out there in and around your feeder area for your station, basically, on the watch, just on the watch out, watching out for anything that could possibly be happening and could be important to the station itself. Okay, which is like I said, we're going to get into that. So instead of a case study here, so we know this here, we said, so just let me just not get confused here. We had Jerry B. Bell. Okay. All right, so let me just quickly do this before we look at a case study. I'm just going to increase this moment. Okay. So from your textbook, powerful beyond powerful radio, there's a case study there. I thought obviously I said I did obviously I'm transparent. I just don't have my beyond powerful radio. I have no idea where it's gone. And when I get back to campus, I will get one this weekend. Right. Anyway, but I decided for our case study we will look at for there was a fire that was reported, and we can look at that and say, like, what notes do we get from that particular video and obviously that particular report. But let's quickly look at Scott Hennon's tips on covering an emergency without a new staff. So cultivate a relationship with professors of communications or journalism at local colleges or universities. Recruit the best students to potentially become reporters for your station. So you see about that database that I was saying to you, people that are out there that will be like little landing points, within our feeder area and saying, okay, they cover different things, from medicine to lifestyle to this, whatever, student events, uh, you know, um, township happenings, whatever it may be, right? We have a budget for emergency supplies and equipment. So we can also trade account. We can use a trade account at a place when you can get them. So contact your best clients during that time of crisis. See what they can do to help. Also, don't forget to ask what you can do to help them. Right. So use all media, video, web, radio, phones, anything that you can do to set up. For example, if it's a flood channel, if it's an earthquake channel. Always say twisters. Sorry, I watched the series yesterday about like not only about twisters, but yeah, natural events that are out of this world. Yeah, and it was so interesting. Anyway, bizarre though, bizarre, but something that we wouldn't experience here in South Africa. But yeah, I can only imagine. And there was a story. Sorry, one of the arcs in there, just to be this is quite interesting. Was there was a it's not a meteorologist, a meteorologist. Is that what they called? People that study weather. Uh, doesn't seem right. Seems like, yeah, maybe it is. Okay, anyway, but this lady who did work for a news channel, and what's so interesting about this particular series is it's all constructed anyway from only videos that citizens recorded around these particular really extreme, very disastrous natural events that happened. which was a really great example of citizen journalism. One happened to be a news reporter, like I said, she was a meteor, and the people that are professional at weather, excuse me, right? And she was herself stuck in the middle of this thing called I think it's called a Dodeko, right? Which is this crazy, this crazy, massive, like it goes for miles and miles across states, storm, which resembles the behavior I'm saying within and the effects of a disastrous effects of a tsunami, a hurricane, and a tornado all in one, and it just eats away at everything and everybody. I would say that goes in its way for something simple as something like 3 to 5 minutes, and it just chows down everything. It was amazing. Obviously not the destruction, but for me it was super amazing. What besides my own personal interest, my thing is that what I enjoy about it is the way that you would see these particular clips. Never mind in the movie, I was saying. Oh, if it was an episode, a series episode, you must watch it. It's called "In the Eye of in the Eye of the Storm." Right. Anyway, um, it's like a real example of citizen journalism right there because we see those particular. When these particular citizens, our citizens, and the world citizens do actually go and record these particular happenings, they do send it through to like they'll post it, and what happens is that the let's say the news officers or whatever it is at the stations will one either contact the person, or they'll just directly use that one from wherever it's uploaded, TikTok, uh, Facebook, whatever it may be. Ideally, because you obviously have ethics, so you'd contact that person and say, how true and when was this actually taken? Where was this taken? Right. But yeah, it was a perfect example of how citizen journalism is actually executed and covers the stories because they're there immediately. It's not even journalists that are running out and covering this extremely massive like a natural disaster. But anyway, yeah, you must go watch it. Look, just as a sidebar, because I'm recommending this to you, Eye of the Storm, right? It's not, or it's average in terms of structure. Please, it's not the most originally put together series. So just note that. What you will enjoy is obviously just that wow factor of just uh, the bizarrities of nature, which I find fascinating anyway. Okay. Get out your PDA or your contact files and remind yourself of whom you know, friends and business associates, all will want to help, and some of them may be experts. So during the heat of the crisis, drop regular programming and go to the coverage of what is happening. All right. Okay, let's quickly stop there. Show you the first one. I want to show you the crisis with the storms. Share sound. You can give me your. Well, I mean, you can't give me literally right now. I mean, ideally, I would want you to make notes of. Save it here. Here it is. And it's from ABC News. Right. While you watch this, I'm just going to go clearly blow my nose. Give me a second here.
So what is ClickUp?
The wildfires raging in the west and the growing concern about smoke-filled air across the region. Thousands of people in several states forced to flee their homes now. The biggest fire in California right now is the rapidly growing Park Fire. And ABC's Jacqueline Lee is at the staging area for firefighters there in Chico. Good morning, Jacqueline.
Gio, good morning to you. Firefighters are resting up before redeploying to the front lines. California Governor Gavin Newsom declaring a state of emergency as a result of this fire.
This morning, an astonishing, chaotic wildfire raging out of control, scorching more than 300,000 acres across Northern California. The Park Fire, burning in California's Butte and Tehama counties, has quickly become the state's largest fire so far this year. This as firefighters struggle to gain an upper hand, with 0% contained. At least 134 structures destroyed and more than 4,000 people evacuated. Firefighters across the state descending on the city of Chico at a newly created base camp, working up to 36-hour shifts to contain flames in the north that have turned the sky into a fiery red for miles.
We are seeing a crew deploying here, ready to cut line, trying to get this under control. You can see the flames just burning over here. The wind is creating all of this billowing smoke.
I mean, I just want to just pause that. So again, not just all about me. I love this type of journalism where you can see, man, that field journalist that is just like they're on the this is a journalist, man, like here in a line of fire, whatever it is, but they're out there, they're doing their job. She's got all the information. You'll also note that throughout, for example, let's say a state of emergency, the journalist will only have a certain amount of information because it's fast growing, right? So they'll be able to present to I'm saying obviously to the head office where the news is being broadcast by the anchors as you saw them. I think this is what is this Good Morning America, right? And then you would see it, you would be like, oh, like it would be long running. So this update would happen perhaps maybe even 20 minutes to every half an hour, touching base on depending on what it is that could possibly happen because it's so it says there, it burns out of control, man. We can all remember this fire. Can you remember this fire, man? It wasn't a fire. It was basically hell on earth within California. It just carried on and on and on and on. It was crazy. But just note let's give a round of applause or snaps to this lady over here who's doing her job so thoroughly and so just, I mean, professionally. Love it, love it. It's like I could marry her right now, but I only want her for a job.
This appeared within a matter of seconds, showing all the conditions that firefighters are dealing with, just struggling to contain this fire.
And Arcana Whitworth also on the scene as CAL FIRE uses every available asset to tame this inferno.
Look at right there. So they're doing major FOS check drops in this area because this fire continues to jump its major containment lines. So they're relying heavily on this air attack right now.
The hardest hit towns, including Cohasset and Forest Ranch, a haunting reminder for Jen Robbins, who lost it all in the 2018 Camp Fire in the nearby town of Paradise.
Yeah, we lost our home, vehicles, pets, everything.
And after smoke turned the sky black earlier this week, Robbins fleeing down the highway with her young daughter, only to encounter what she calls a tunnel of fire.
And we just started crying because we already have PTSD from the campfire, so it brought up a lot of emotions and memories and what ifs.
And as for the cause of this fire, officials arrested 42-year-old Ronnie Dean Stout for suspected arson. He's expected to be arraigned on Monday, where he will face charges. Gio.
So many people dealing with the aftermath there. All right, Jacqueline, thank you so much. Let's go to the smoke danger now, spreading across the West because of those wildfires. Samara Theodore is here with all the details. Good morning, Samara.
Good morning, Gio. Yeah, this dangerous situation will continue to unfold. Now, these are the conditions you need. Low relative humidity where the Park Fire is burning, 22% relative humidity. The areas in gray, that's where they're having an air quality alert because of the smoke. And if you look, it's not just the USA. Canada, 926 active fires burning right now. That smoke is going to make its way down to the lower 48. In the coming days, this is where the very heavy smoke is going to smoke will migrate. Northern California, Nevada, parts of Utah. And as we head into August, temperatures will be much warmer than normal out west, and that itself will definitely be conducive to more wildfires.
Yeah, I mean, I knew about it, but yeah. Anyway, it's crazy. I want to see the historic profile. Man, there was this, I'm sure you even saw it. Okay, doesn't matter. If you want to have a more that did interest you in some other way, like it just tickled your fancy, not in a gross way, you can go and look up. This was a major thing. You know what? Even on, and really, I'm going off the point, but you would have seen it like there was is it Station 9 or something? I don't know, Station 11, Station 9. It's that it's that drama that's tied in with Grey's Anatomy. Anyway, Station 19. There we go. Obviously, they brought that into the fictional, script writing. So much of this came into a number of different, on-air television programs, just as a homage to the firefighters that did. I mean, obviously, firefighters lost their jobs, not their jobs, their lives, man. To this, and to the thousands of Americans that lost their homes, died. Yeah, it was just something I'll say. Yeah. Anyway, all right. Shocking. So here you can even see, like, so while I'm here, Kim Jong Un inspects floods and declares national emergency. I don't know how true that. Whenever I see a short, I'm like, ah. But if it's on Channel 4 News, it obviously means that it's true. So that's pretty. I did not know that happened. And then you kind of go and have a look. You see, obviously, I was looking specifically for this story because it was so big. Okay, all right. Keep quiet, Chris. Let's get on with the lesson and let's get this done. Okay. All right. Okay. Right, so let's look at citizen journalism. All right, and we'll close up the lesson over there. So, citizen journalism is when it consists of development and delivery of contents of stories via the audience and regular people, rather than via trained and experienced journalists who are paid to deliver such stories. So, in other words, this method of reporting involves citizens that are partaking literally, even if it's indirectly in their own news coverage. As I said to you, the way that we go and we switch on our phones for everything, not literally everything, everything, whether it's someone that's dying in front of us, because people have been a little bit callous like that, when there's car crashes, when they're shooting again. There's so many different situations that uh, it's bizarre. You would think that a person would run, or they would go and run to help someone or whatever it is, or run and call someone, but they'd switch on their phone first. Anyway, I'm not going to judge like the ethics of human beings. We're all not great people. But all right, it does serve a purpose, a different purpose on the lighter side. I'm saying to you, very, very loosely used there from my side. The types of content that are shared by citizens as eyewitnesses can range from live and original reports, and from big events or natural disasters, to commentary and interviews of a more entertaining nature. I mean, they could be where we are not, in terms of like, I ran into Mariah Carey. You know me and Mariah Carey, right? Anyway, ran into Mariah Carey, and she said this and this, boom, done. You know what I'm saying to you? To me, oh, you're like, okay, great. So, so that happens obviously regularly, more regularly. We also want celebrity surprises in our lives, right? Anyway, so let's go out there and be citizen journalists ourselves. There are events that simplify or simply would not have been communicated in as much relevant detail because they might not have had a citizen or citizens to go and witness them, send photographs, send videos, take whatever it is, send text voice messages for sound, whatever it is, to their local radio stations and newsrooms. So there are two benefits to incorporate citizens into our radio content. The first thing is it really helps to have an army of listeners who we don't pay. Well, that's the big thing, right? Across all our radio stations that do act as reporters and are everywhere. We can't be everywhere at all the time. And so definitely the people that are listening to us in our larger feeder areas are the ones that are saying, like, listen, like, I want to phone you because you are my default source of information. Like, you're my default, or this community's default setting when it comes to media, right? So broadcast footprints can get to places and experience things that a traditional radio reporter would not be able to access, or not even maybe even know about it, right? They might take too long to get there as well. Secondly, the content provided by the radio station by citizens can offer a very realistic and human account, which is it's a nice added value. Like we are doing this medium, or we are in this medium particularly to get in touch and connect with our listeners and what's happening in their lives. In this way, we go and we completely, we race over, like super step over that need to obviously construct our own connection and make sure we just jump right into their I'd say back seat of their car, and we're right there with them. They're literally giving us exactly what they're experiencing, exactly what they're thinking, and there's an immediate relationship and coexistence, symbiotic relationship that we develop with the listener there. When there is a fire or a protest going on, sorry, awry, well, a journalist might not be there at the time to witness and write about it. Citizen journalists, on the other hand, enable life, immediate eyewitness accounts of events and daily events. All right, so anyone can become a citizen reporter. Information is coming from everywhere. You can, I can, your mom can, whatever it is. Again, you probably have done it before in some account, whatever it is, where you have switched on your phone. You have decided to go even blog that, to go to a little bit more of a professional thing, like a level, go blog that, put it on your social media, maybe as a bit of a for you like a lead portfolio example of what it is that you can do, perhaps as a amateur journalist, whatever it may be, because you do have media in your blood. All right, if the public is to be able to rely on your product at some point, a real journalist is going to have to work on the story and do quality control. So by using citizen journalists, you expose your station to the possibility of putting out incorrect information and damaging your credibility. As I said to you before, you have to be able to know that this person's information, the citizen journalist, has not been fabricated or now AI'd or this or that or whatever it may be, just because they may be trying to follow an agenda, right? So we'd always have to go and research that and know that are validated. Again, credible. At the end of the day, your people never need to become more experts, or need to become more expert editors, fact checkers, skeptics, as well as powerful storytellers. Give the context, not just the content. Right. Okay, what are the rights of a citizen journalist? And from here, I will go. Just let me see when I do want to do the break to the video. Oh, okay, we're already finished. That's weird. Okay, let me just rather do this. Okay, and then I'll do the video, and then we'll do the exercises. Okay, so what are the risks of citizen journalists? Well, obviously the risk is there's a danger, like just in danger for them. I'm saying to you, right? We can also where there's also risks toward. I'm saying for us as the radio station. So let's see if we can cover some of either or. Right, there are, however, risks involved in using citizen-sourced content without formal training and the obligations and regulations under which journalists operate. Citizens can interpret information without factually reporting on it. We know that already. I've said that already, right? So they are therefore not necessarily adept, right, um, to eliminating bias or removing their own opinion, because there might be, they will cut and edit that video to definitely only show one very specific side of a story, which doesn't help nothing. Again, and some journalists have been too quick, or like too quick to respond, and then go and want this breaking news story that they've gone and obviously shot themselves in the foot because of this, right? This can lead to false information or conflicting views in the same incident. Some or such inaccurate details will damage the station, the brand, and you as journalists in many ways. Lawsuits obviously can happen, demands for on-air apologies, which makes you look incompetent, and complaints to the BCCSA, where you will be sitting there, dismissal, tribunals, suspensions, fines, all that type of stuff. In short, a radio station, its news and editorial teams need to weigh up on the value of whether or not they're going to go forward with that or what they find from citizen journalism. All right, with the evolution of the internet, ordinary people and increasingly are increasingly publishing. Excuse my really nasal thing here. Yep. Okay. Their own content and sharing it with media outlets like radio stations. These people are active participants and in the media space rather than just consumers of information and entertainment. So, last couple of points. Hopefully, this provides a plethora of viewpoints. A plethora is just a variety of specifically for people interested, right? This is where citizen journalism extends the life and conversation of what happens on air by providing post-mortems and in-depth analysis of things that we might not have covered because we have to cover other things as well, right? And move on. Once they have taken place, which adds to the richness of the stories, and there'll be a case study on page 209. I will go and I will just yeah. There are a couple here. I don't want to go through the definition, or I wanted them to actually talk about it. It was which was the one that I saw? Oh yeah, there we go. I love this new media because it comes from a new media producer. Oh, I really need to blow my nose. Here we go.
My name is Ahmed Badin. I'm Palestinian by blood, American by birth, Kuwaiti by family refuge, Egyptian by upbringing, Austrian by adolescence, and curious by nature. I think anyone's a reporter. I think my upbringing and having lived but been from so many places but also not been from any one place in particular definitely influenced me in a very serious way. Borders and boundaries and divisions, all of that to me always seemed very counterintuitive, almost unnatural. It's definitely influenced me by making me be more open and more curious and inquisitive. I think that might actually be why I went into the field. What is a netizen? I mean, it's a very curious term, right? Because it's basically a citizen of the internet. The beautiful thing about the internet, and for example, the effect it has on the media, is it really levels the playing field. Any kind of big media personality compared to with a blogger in, say, Morocco or Jordan, they're both netizens. And to me, you know, that's kind of a novel thing. I mean, I think anyone's a reporter. Anybody, whether they're citizen journalists, whatever you want to call them, if they're taking information with their mobile phone, they're filming in Syria, or in Bahrain, tear gas or whatever it might be, and they're uploading it to the internet, they're reporting that, We don't want the news told to us. We want to be part of that process. I think news consumers are becoming producers, and it's exciting. I mean, it makes the job for journalists that much harder because as a journalist now you have so many more sources. I mean, the very notion of breaking news itself is broken. And there's nothing wrong in that. And if people are afraid of that in the business, I really think that just points to arrogance or a fear of not having a job. People who are so quick to dismiss the multiplicity of voices that social media, that the internet, that technology provides us with access, I don't think their heart's in the right place. There can be a symbiotic kind of relationship between citizen journalists, activists, netizens, whatever you want to call them, people on the ground who understand the culture. They can fill that gap that a parachute journalist, someone who comes in only when the story is hot or trending or whatever, can't potentially add to the story. If you're dedicated to really understanding the story and getting to the heart of it, you will find that there's so much value in those conversations and the information and photos and videos that are being shared amongst the people who really care about the story because, after all, that's their life. I think a journalist's role is to contextualize, to report, to try and be factual, to use stories to illustrate the human condition. I also would add to that, which many people would stop there, it's to be progressive. Progressive meaning to move society forward. That's where I think transparency for me in journalism, as a journalist, should be more important than objectivity because objectivity is a fallacy. It's unattainable. How many times you reference something in an article, where you put it in the article, all those minor things, let alone your culture, your religion, your background, who you're married to, what your sister's niece does on the weekends that you sometimes go and visit. I mean, you know, our lives are so multifaceted that to presume that professionally we can distance ourselves so much and provide an objective view is, I think, not as important or as alluring to me as providing a view that is truthful. And the truth, sadly, is subjective. So it's my truth, but it's, you know, in good faith. And as long as you're transparent and accountable and your intentions and your motivation is to try and get at the truth, that to me is where journalism is headed. I'm Ahmed Shahabuddin, and you are watching Thinker.
Couldn't have rounded up better by anyone else, I suppose. Yeah, but it's great. Like that really just rounds it up nicely. All right, let's quickly look at those exercise points and then be done for the week. So just key points of the the key points for the lesson. Hey, oh, what? Key points. Station media outlets. Oh, there we go. Here's your I lost my place there. Okay, do the following activity. Using the internet, select a story about a recent major local event, power plant explosions, toxic gas releases, multi-car major accidents, a major mudslide, something else. On a Word document, describe a scenario that places you at the scene of this event and you're able to communicate with the media outlets as a citizen journalist. Oh, excuse me. Just have to get some water. Yeah, it's a day and a half for me. Anyway, okay, so you are now only to serve. You're applying your service or you're uh, presenting your service right on X. So you now are limited to communicate in 140 characters or less. To quote Shakespeare, brevity is the soul of wit. So you may and should use text abbreviations such as U for you, R as R, 2 for 2, and 4 for 4, and so on, just to make sure that you do get what you need to say under those 140 characters. So you also cut words down like phonetically. So, for example, like later for later, and I'm sure this is anyway how you're used to writing anyway, because you're so active in the social media space. And for short texting, I'm saying where you guys live. I'm saying on WhatsApp, etc. All right, note to check the exact character letters, numbers, and spaces. Simply select the entire text of the tweet, drag the cursor left mouse button, and obviously just over the lettering, go and check that out. Okay, then from the top menu, click on Tools and then select Word Count, just to be able to know that. You know, obviously, that in Word, how to check your word count. For the three main parts of the event, the beginning, middle, and the end, compose at least two tweets. I don't know what they call them now, Xers, right? Tweets for X, describing as much of the situation as clearly as possible. So you certainly may offer more than two per section in order to get your idea across. So think of it like a story that is growing, right? Or different aspects, different angles, right? That you'd want to include. So remember that you are the eyes and ears of the scene. Be certain to paint pictures with words as discussed throughout your learning. Okay. All right, and I think that is that. But I think I know. All right, I'm gonna leave you at that. Like say go use sinus medicine. You do not want this. And have a great week ahead. I'll see you in class next